Hey guys, Brent Hull here. Happy Wednesday. Another design video showing a fix of a client that wants a 1920s very traditional house that wasn't getting it. And so we've tweaked and fixed a few things, especially windows, especially doors, eave details, column details, to really kind of switch this house into high gear and really make it something beautiful and some place I would love to live. So come check it out. Let me know what you think. This is an interesting project because this is a house that wants to be this lakeside cottage from the 1920s. And what you notice and see is that it's not. And one of the reasons it's not is because all the parts and pieces just aren't put together in the right way. And it goes down to something as simple as this mold between the windows, okay? And so if you have an historic, window, what you have is you have your sash, you have your jamb, right? And then your parting stop, another sash. And then behind here, you have a weight pocket, okay? And I'm basically drawing this and I'm looking right down through the center of that. And the other window has also as a weight pocket. So in between here and then the jamb on the other window, if I was gonna pair these together, there has to be room for these weights in here. And the pulleys, the ropes come down and they hold on to each of these weights and it goes up and down. Well, out here you have what's called a mull cover, okay? And the mull cover, if you watch my videos on mullions versus muttons, you know that these are the mulls and the muttons are inside here. So if these are the sash that go up and down, right? If there's glass in there, we need room for a weight pocket. And all houses built before 1940 have a wide mull where the weight pocket goes. Now, that seems like a little thing, but it's one of those subtle differences that can make a huge difference. The other thing is just these 1/1 windows, which, if you look at a turn of the century house, there is a precedent for that. But you're going to see that I'm going to advocate for a 3/1, and I'm going to change this window up so it's like this, and there's lights there. But I'm going to go to a 3/1 design, and then on the doors, I'm not going to go with sliding doors because sliding doors aren't historic. I'm going to go with swinging doors, but I like the bottom rail of these doors to have 16, 18 inches in here, which is typical of that period. They also would have divided light in here. And so, these would be probably, something like this. So this is what I came up with. Basically, I've taken out all those sliding doors, and so this is off their kitchen. I've gone with pairs of windows, right, and a tall door. Notice that the lower part of my sill almost lines up with the lower, this rail here to kind of tie these together. I've got a main door that walks out of this living room and then another door over the study. As opposed to groups of sliding doors really helps a lot. We also have a balcony up here. And so I've got a door off this bedroom up here and then another door off this master, a pair of doors, and then here's your bathroom. Notice what I've done too is I've opened the eaves, and this open eave design is a much more casual lakeside kind of feel that I think helps. And I painted it green or colored it green as if it's a green shingle roof, and so which would also have been typical. But when you compare this, which doesn't look historic, now we've got something that would be more appropriate in the 1920s. And what did we do? We changed how the windows were detailed. We changed how the doors were detailed. You don't have any sliders. We have a mull cover in between the wide windows. We have a bigger rail in the bottom. And I think it helps to make this much better. As we go around to the other side, okay, east elevation, as you can see, I don't like this blank wall. And, there's a garage in here, okay, so that they're pulling their cars in the back. I'm gonna put a little, a better, cover over top of this door that, that goes up, maybe it's a raised seam roof, but it has these brackets and there's eaves in here, right? There's rafter tails here coming across. Let's highlight this door a little bit with a prettier bracketed opening, which would be much more appropriate. Simple things like just giving us a 3/1 window, is going to help a lot. And then of course fixing this hatching and fixing this fireplace is a big deal too. You'll notice that by doing that, right, by going back with that river rock and kind of building up from the base, also a 1920s ideal, I've changed the design of that door. I've also, because this is the stair hall, I've put a divided light window over top, or a leaded glass window over top, something that they would have done. And also on either side of the fireplace in a 1920s bungalow, you'd have these small windows over top. So by fixing this door and adding windows there, you don't end up with this large blank space across this wall. I think it helps. Again, I've opened the eaves. We don't have the fascia eave, we don't have a boxed eave. We have an open eave, which has been very important, and I think that helps the look quite a bit. Then if you go around to the back side, there is a garage here. I'm just trying to fix this. One, I don't like the way these are molded together. Fixing it by arrangement, right? Doing a single door, pair of doors that opens up in a single door. And, you know, I've added these columns, kind of a better detailing over that garage. We've got columns in the front. Let's bring them around to the back. Let's give this a little bit of an overhang and a covering. I've separated the windows. I don't feel like we need, you know, 3 pairs of windows like this, and just these single pairs like this. And you'll notice too, I've gone to a carriage garage style door, something with light in here, because this, you know, is kind of cold. It looks industrial. And so by going with more of a carriage style door, we have something that is just softer and easier to look at and more charming, like better to drive up to that, better to be, it's more inviting. So there's other details that I've done on this job to kind of help it out. One of those being, you know, this arrangement for this front porch, because basically what happens is if you look at this other side of the house, there's a kitchen window I've added here, but this deck and everything is really important to them, and it wasn't detailed right. And here's one of the, you know, classical detailing things that is so important, but here's that back porch here's the back of the lake side of the house with the porch. Notice what's happening with these columns, okay? These columns are straight tubes, okay? There's no, you know, intesis, which is when the column kind of grows from bigger to smaller. You've got this boat dock, okay, with the kind of a storage area in back. And so we've got to bring in this classical detail and this classical elements to this thing. And, you know, what I'm doing is I'm suggesting columns that have intesis, columns that, you know, have life, an open, you know, bracketed eave so that the structure is better expressed. But what this also does is it helps define a language for the rest of the house. And so going with this kind of Greek Doric column with no base, right? Architrave, here's your frieze with the things going over, and then a lower handrail. And so a bunch of little details that I think can make a big difference. And if you look at, you know, what I did here on the back of this house, I've changed the columns from this 12-foot wide spacing, right, to a 9-foot spacing, which looks better. It allows me to organize this door. Notice I've created some hierarchy here with this different detail in the balustrade. And then I just want to show you what I did to the boat dock. And this is where the classical orders really can make a big difference and help us organize, you know, this whole arrangement, okay? Because, you know, here you see the column is a straight tube. There is no capital here. You know, here's your entablature, and then your railing up here. But this is lifeless, right? There's no energy here. And so by incorporating and playing with the orders, I have kind of helped fix this design. And so one, I'm bringing life into it by adding a window, right? The blank wall, it's hard to look at, right? Bringing in a window kind of gives it a little bit of life. But notice too that I've now taken this entablature. So now I've got a column with intesis. It sits properly, right? The relationship of the neck of the column to the beam of the architrave is in line. So that means that my little capital sticks out over top, which is the right way to do it. I've broken up that big space into an architrave, a frieze, and then your cornice. And then this column above here, okay, is not, you know, these small little pickets over here, but this neck also determines the width of this here, okay? And I've lowered this. I've got this, you know, this was up at, you know, 36 or 42 inches. No one else would be up there, so we don't need it that high. And so I've lowered it to more of a proper proportion, about, you know, 30 inches. And I've then incorporated these larger pieces over top of each column. By bringing the entablature onto this building as well, and then incorporating pilasters, it ties the whole unit together, right? It helps make the whole thing make more sense. And so here's my kind of full drawing of how I wanted them to do it, where you've got the blocking in here, your TPO, whatever your roof is, a drip edge, cimation, corona, bed mold, right? Freeze, an architrave, and then your column. So that's what this is. And so, it helps. And so anyway, incorporating a lot of different stuff in here, but basically trying to take this house and make it look better, right? Make it look more period appropriate is really just a matter of diving into all these details. You kind of hear me saying it again and again, but it's all in the details, guys, and it really does make a big difference when you follow historic precedent to give things more life and beauty and everything else. All right, guys, what'd you think? How did I do? I think this one was really a great transformation. The homeowner's really happy. Let me know what you guys think. Fixing the little things, right? I keep saying that over and over again. Fixing those traditional details, fixing the columns so that they work, fixing the windows so that they work, having traditional doors, all of those things make a huge difference. So follow those details. If you want to do this yourself, really you're just copying the past. So try it out yourself. Let me know what you think. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.